Hello everyone, hope you're having a great day and welcome back to another video on the channel. In today's video, I want to talk about the hots and dots changes that are coming to Wizard101 that is probably going to shake up the meta and all. Now, Cam, or King of Festus, he streams like 3 to 4 times a week over on Twitch and YouTube, by the way. He's a dev for the game, and he basically teased at a couple of things and whatnot, and we're going to talk about those in the video today. So, first up, why is this change happening? That's always a good thing to, start the talking point off. This change is happening simply because in all of PvP, hots and dots are meta. They've been meta for quite some time now. And in case you guys are wondering why hots and dots are so good, there's a couple of reasons for it. On the hot side of things, it's more so just the fact that people can jade pretty easily with spells like gnomes or abuse the copy limits, and a good jade will pretty much never die nowadays in PvP. The actual hot gambits like, Thundering Djinn, Life Scion, Storm Owl, you might see those here and there, but they're not too common simply because everyone is so set for Jades that it indirectly hurts schools like, Fire and Storm in the middle that are just trying to do something cool. On the other side of the board, we have dots. Now, dots have been absolutely insane for a while, and in case you guys are unaware, Fire essentially gets an extra DPP bonus on dots, so their normal DPP is 100, but with the extra, additional dot value, I think it's around like 120. It's like around Storm damage per pip if you cast it over time as a Fire. So obviously, that is really freaking good, right? And we've seen metas in 5th Age PvP where dots are absolutely terrible if the counters are too good. So look back to like when Kraken was 4 pips and, Universal, or look back to Chromatic Stormzilla, dots weren't that good because the counters were extremely good. And the devs have gone on record and said that they don't want to go back to that era, And I think that's a fair thing because we've seen what the game's been like when the dot counters are too good. So they're trying to go a different route with them, which I can at least respect. Anyhow, aside from the extra free DPP bonus you get on casting in overtime, there's also multipliers, I believe. So like if you have a 6th round overtime, you get a damage boost there. So that's why spells like Efreet are also insane. And on top of that as well, you have cards like a Moot, which are basically insane because there you get extra damage as fusion, extra damage for being at overtime, and extra damage for being at longer dots. So that's why a Moot is insanely broken right now in the meta, and that's why everyone is complaining about it. Personally, what I think should happen is Toilet should have been a triple clear this whole time, because in case you guys don't know, all of the other Selenopolis cards in the game are triple clears. So if you look at like Anubis, he triple clears heals, right? But as a life, you can't triple clear dots, which is kind of strange. Life and Storm are supposed to counter Fire right now within their Rochambeau, but the issue is Fire can create triple dots for 7 pips, and Life and Storm cannot counter that for the same amount of pips. So at least in my opinion right now, I feel like the counters are just a little too weak. I think a very minor buff to like Toilet would go a long ways, and also, at least in my opinion, I think the best way they should go about this next change is simply by nerfing Scion and Efreet, and that's exactly what they're gonna do. Well, at least they're nerfing Fire Scion. I guess I'll talk about that now. So, Fire Scion will be getting nerfed. It is essentially going to actually gambit the overtimes on the opponent for extra damage, right? So basically right now, in Live Realm, if you Moot into a Scion, you could therefore surge into another Scion, which is pretty cracked, right? Or like in Rage strats, you might see that, and I'll talk about that in a bit here as well. But that is no longer going to be a thing because, if you go for a big Moot into a Fire Scion, you're basically just getting rid of your entire, like, bladed Moot, which is kind of stupid to do, you know what I mean? Now, I'm pretty sure Fire Scion is getting a damage buff as compensation, which isn't a terrible idea in my opinion, but I think going for, like, a big dot into Fire Scion now is just counterproductive and probably not worth it, so I would say that is a it's a decent change, but it's a pretty big nerf to fire PvP in my opinion. Now, let's talk about the two other... Actually, no, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about raids first. Because I know this change is probably going to upset a lot of people in the raiding community. Simply because, well, usually you have like one supporter and then like 3 fires or something. And then they all fire Scion, right? But you can't do that anymore with this change in advanced combat because the first person to Scion is just going to completely get rid of everyone else's Scion, which is a little alarming. Same thing with like a hot strat. Actually, no, a hot strat would be fine. No, yeah, because you'd only remove the hots on you. Yeah, so never mind. Hot strats will be fine in a raid, but dot strats in a raid will get nerfed. I don't think any raiders will be happy about that. Okay, now let's talk about the repeat offenders, which is going to be Gnomes and Ifrit. So, Gnomes and Ifrit, the devs have gone on record a couple of months ago saying they just don't like these spells, and the same thing with the community. Like the concept is neat, but it's too much value, you know? So in case you guys don't know, basically a max value Gnomes is 3k value, which is absolutely just insane. Absolutely insane. And a max value of Freed, I think, is around like 2200 or something like that. So these cards are insanely good. You could also throw Chimera in the bunch here as well, because Chimera is very similar to a Freed. But essentially, why these cards are so good is because the base hit on it, the burst hit, is really high, whether it's, you know, Chimera, Gnomes, or Ifrit, of course. But then on top of that, the amount of utility you create is insane, because you keep the extra hots or dots you put on already, but then you're just multiplying them, essentially, and those multiplied ones are still insanely overvalued. So basically what happens, you just create this chain effect of hots or dots, and the counters will not keep up. We obviously know that Gnomes is going to be getting nerfed, but with the Free, it's a little more gray area, because we're not sure if Ifrit is gonna like gambit the dots for like new ones, kind of similar to Fire Scion. Some people in the Discord I know are also saying that Ifrit might get buffed this update, which is kind of scary in my opinion, because, you know, like I said a second ago here, I think Ifrit itself is more broken than Fire Scion, because when you look at any like good fire players deck, they're packing way more Ifrits than they are Fire Scion. You know, like my fire, I pack max Ifrit and like 2 or 3 Scions usually. So although the nerf to Fire Scion is pretty substantial, in my opinion, I just would like to see them probably nerf Ifrit, you know, maybe Chimera and Gnomes, and then slightly buff like maybe Toilet, or create like a 7-pip triple dot clear, triple hot clear for Lifer Storm. I'm a little curious though about the lower rank cards, like, you know, Storm Shark, Nature's Wraith, Seraph, you know. I wonder if those are gonna change at all, or they might just still be like basic conditionals. I kind of feel like they'll still just be basic conditionals because they're lower rank in general. They're not as complicated as, you know, going for a Gambit, like a higher pip card, but that's just my opinion and my theory. As for the ETA on this update, I mean, it's Wiz, where it's probably gonna come in the summer update, you know what I mean? We just got the patch that, you know, got rid of Storm Elf and whatnot not too long ago. So, knowing Wiz, we're not going to get another patch before the summer updates. So, you know, I would expect to see it in summer. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Do you think it's enough? How would you have gone about changing things? Leave a like and a sub if you made it this far. If not, that's okay. I still appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for being here, and take care, y'all.